Now, Tara Hewitt's been on the show a few times, co-founder of Trans Equality Legal Institute. Tara, thanks so much. I mean, you were supposed to be on earlier. I think we got our times mixed up, and I appreciate your patience in being on here now.
Oh, it's okay, Eddie. It's always great to join you.
Right. I mean, this one might be an interesting one, though, because I had to give Amy quite a tough time, and I'm probably going to do the same to you in order to understand so that people can have a conversation. First of all, is it a conversation, Tara, that you welcome? Just the conversation about what it is to be trans, why, how, who. Is it one that you welcome or one that you shy away from?
I think it's always important to talk about the facts, and I'm always happy to talk with somebody about factual information. If somebody wants to talk about my right to exist or my right to be able to have a job at work without risk of being sacked, etc., to me that's not a debate, because if I lose that debate, I'm not in the room and I'm not going to engage on that. But if someone wants to talk to me about what the law is and what the law says, I'm always happy to engage with somebody on that, because that's what we should be doing in a civilised society.
Yeah, but the law is often quite boring, Tara. You've been on the show before, because I tell you what, the law gives us a guide, but it doesn't necessarily impact on how day-to-day people interact with each other, does it?
I think having conversations and meeting people where they are and just talking about their lived experience is really important. I think that's as important as talking about the law. So I agree with you. But I said, if we're talking about debating my right to be able to have a job, or debating my right to be able to walk around in society without threats of violence, etc., which some people want to do, that's not a debate that I'm going to have, because losing that debate means that I'm not going to be there. I'm not going to feel safe in that space. But chatting to people, I'm happy to chat to people. I think that's how we get a better place. Maybe we wouldn't have got into the mess that we've got about in the moment in society. So always happy to chat.
Well, I don't know, because it seems to me that part of what you don't want to debate is the very foundation of this story, which is, transgender swimmers have been granted full access to Hampstead Heath, and it seemed to me the main, tenet of the argument being provided by Amy was actually you could go to the men's, the women's and the mixed, and actually this is a space only for women.
So legally, I couldn't go to the men's, the mixed, and all of what you've just described. As I've said, and I've said before in your show, the Equality Act makes really clear that people have right to access their services based on how they permanently live their life. That's the way the law is written, and that's the way that the law should be interpreted.
Okay.
What Amy would like to see, and this is where nobody talks about, and I think it would be really interesting for you to talk about, is that what Amy would like to see is trans men, so people that were assigned female at birth, who are men and might have a beard, might have had top surgery, who visibly, to all normatives in society, look like men. She would have them in the women's pond. Now, in itself, that surely would, in what she was saying about people worrying about who's in that space, that was visually going to make people, in the same way she's saying trans women make people feel unsafe because of the language that she's using. But how would you know if those trans men are not trans? They're just cisgendered men. So actually, in a way, what she's advocating for is a situation that is as bizarre as she's trying to get the public to view trans women as, and saying, well, trans women are just putting on a dress and pretending that they're women. Actually, she's creating a situation that would...
but she's not saying they're trans women. She's saying the idea is that, so far as she can tell in the law, that a man can say, I identify as a woman, and go to a woman's only pond.
So her interpretation of the law, she's not a legal expert. You showed me a clip where she said that there were specific exclusions in the law that people had to apply. That's not true. The exemptions in the law allow organisations in a limited range of circumstances, if they choose to apply those exemptions. And the statutory guidance that's written under the Equality Act limits that to around domestic abuse shelters and domestic violence. It makes it clear that it's a very narrow range of areas. This isn't talking about our general services, our swimming pools, our ponds, although I don't know many people that have ponds that you can swim in.
No, but I am today, and I am telling you, and you will know, Tara, that this has been a hot potato, and it's been debated, and it's been used as some sort of, barometer by which we measure feeling towards and accessibility. So it's not the first time we've talked about this story.
It's not.
So you view this story as good news, do you?
So I think that any council that has reasserted an existing rule that has been in place since 2010 and has checked itself that it has been applying that rule since 2010 is always a good thing, whatever equality group that we're talking about. As Laura Russell, the director from Stonewall, said today to the BBC, this isn't a new rule. This is simply a council asserting that the law is being applied the way that it should be.
Yeah, but I understand that, Tara, but also people like me make a living out of wondering why so many other people are perturbed, disturbed and upset by the application of this rule.
Unfortunately, we live in a society where there is people that hold some quite unnice views. So there was some research recently that showed up to a third of people felt that you don't need consent for sex in marriage. I think that's a really barbaric view. But that research that was published in The Guardian showed that there was a chunk of people with views which are particularly unhelpful. We've seen people coming out with views about LGBT education in schools. A Labour MP coming out saying that he didn't believe that 5-year-olds should know that gay people exist, which, again, I find a particularly unhelpful view. So the fact that people hold
that's different, isn't it? That's me. Yeah. That's me as a parent feeling though I should determine if and when my young child, completely dependent on me child, would know about differences between people.
But the fact that gay people have children, the idea that 5-year-olds shouldn't know that LGBT people...
Yeah, but the argument is, it's my child, it's my choice. That's the argument. I mean, I've had it on here so many times.
That wasn't the comments from the Labour MP this week. He said that he didn't feel that 5-year-olds should know that LGBT people exist. It wasn't about the parents' choice. That was a statement of fact. And I said some people hold those views, and I don't find those views fitting with the values and human rights of this country.
So what do you do? Just say they're bigots, or do you engage?
No.
I don't mean you personally. Yes.
No, I think we should challenge those views on the facts. As I said, LGBT people have children, so their children know that they exist. When you make a statement like that, you're saying that they shouldn't know that they exist. Should they dress up and pretend that one of their parents is a different gender so that actually it fits that particular MP's view of the world? No. We should call those views out as absurd.
Nevertheless,
it's the same as Amy's views are absurd.
Well, what about the people who say, I don't, spiritually, culturally, religiously, I don't feel safe in a space with somebody who says I identify as a woman?
So, as I said before, there is people that hold views that they don't want to be in spaces with people of different ethnicities. There's people that hold views that they don't want to be in spaces with gay people.
They're not the same, are they?
Well, I say they are. I hear people say that they don't want to be in spaces around people who are gay or around different ethnicities.
But the point is, it's about transitioning. As a person of colour, I haven't transitioned, have I?
So I would say that I've always been my gender. So it's a concept of the fact that I've not changed.
No, I accept that. From the outside you have, though. From the inside, you haven't changed. You are now a personification of that which you have always been in your head. But you have had to take an action in order to outwardly show that.
And I'd say that's the same as gay people coming out. And actually we still assume that everybody's heterosexual until people come out. People have to visibly say, I am gay. Still, now people have to constantly come out all the way through their lives. So for me, this idea that we allow people's absurdities to dictate policy, when, as I said, if we let Amy's views run their course, we would have trans men, so people assigned at birth, who look like men because they are men, so they could have beards, they could look in every normative way as men, in those women's ponds, and Amy would be happy with that. And actually, we wouldn't necessarily know whether those trans men are trans men or not trans men because they would just look like men. So if you take her view to its full extent, to me, that's a much more challenging situation if you're taking her logic than allowing trans women who most of us fit a lot of the normatives in society. And even when we don't, actually, people are having to say that they're living permanently in their lives to be able to access those spaces.
Good talking to you, Tara. Thank you so much. Tara Hewitt, thank you very much, Tara. Tara Hewitt is co-founder of Trans Equality Legal Initiative.